Okay, so for MacGroup Detroit, February 2017, our meeting is Speed Up Your Mac and iPhone/iPad. Okay, so the first thing topic we're going to tackle today will be how to speed up your Mac and some basic steps. And that's what I wanted to see. So honestly, using your computer, it's not an endurance race. No one wins this type of marathon. I offer that by restarting your computer once a week, you will clear processes and allow your computer to run at full potential again. By leaving it on, and I've spoken with a lot of people, and when's the last time you restarted it? I don't know, and it turns out it was like 6 months ago. And yeah, your computer's just going to slow down. So if you can get in the habit of maybe just once a week do a restart, if you're the type of person that leaves it on all the time, this is an amazing feature just to get yourself back up and running again. Next, what programs are set for auto login? So, does anybody know what I am talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And by a show of hands, who doesn't know what I'm talking about? It's okay, put your hand up, it's cool. All right, cool. So there are some people that are not aware of this. Let me show you. So, when you start up your computer, when you install a program even, sometimes it will ask you, do you want this to be a startup item? Which means, do you want it to come on every time you turn on your computer? That can be frustrating. It can also slow down your computer because it's using up resources that maybe you'd rather use for other things. So if you go to System Preferences, Users, and then up here click on Login Items, you will see that on my computer, Dropbox is set to launch when I turn it on. Nothing? I apologize. Hang on. There we go. So, take my word for it. Dropbox is set to launch at startup. Can I make that bigger? No, I can't. Okay.
Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, so some programs, when you install them on your computer, will make themselves part of a startup process or login item. On my computer, I have two things that are set to log in when I turn on the computer. One of them is Dropbox, the other one is iTunes Helper. The iTunes Helper is great if you have an iPhone or an iPad or even an iPod, because what it does is when you plug it in, it should open up iTunes, and then if you have it set to auto sync, it'll make a backup of your data on that device to the computer. There are programs such as Skype and Spotify that when you install them, everybody clicks yes, 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 and then suddenly they're complaining that Spotify launches every time they turn on their computer. Spotify is a music program for those who don't know what it is. Skype is a video program. And it can be frustrating that it keeps asking you to set it up, and to get out of it, all you would do is come down, click on it here in the login item box, and then there's a minus symbol here. If you click that minus symbol, it will take it out of login items. It does not remove it from your computer. The program's still there, it just will not start every time you restart your computer. And so there's a huge advantage to taking out things that are there. If you see anything along the side here that says application, that means it's working properly. If you see the word unknown, that means that that program is not working properly as a startup item, and that would definitely be a reason why it could cause your computer to slow down. So if you see unknown, definitely click it on, click the minus symbol, and take it out that way. And then if you do need to put it back in, you can relaunch the program, and you can put that item back into the login items should you need that. Yes, sir?
This has nothing to do with what shows up in the dock, right?
No, not at all. What's in the dock is just an alias of where the applications are. And by removing something here, it still stays in the dock. So thank you for asking. That's a great question. So that's where we are with this one. Let me go.
I seem to have items in mind that I don't even know what they are.
Okay.
And because they seem to be named things that, you know, whoever named them, named things that
Doesn't make sense?
doesn't make sense. But,
So then take them out.
you know, I'm kind of fearful that something isn't going to work right.
If you remove, so here, let me show you. iTunes Helper, right? I've taken it out. I plug in my phone, iTunes won't launch. I need it to launch when I plug in my phone. So what you can do, you can go into your applications folder. There's iTunes. If you right click on iTunes and show package contents, I can dig down, because I know where it's at, and I can move iTunes Helper back into login items. And that's how you can have that show back up the way you want it to. Okay? So by taking things out of there, if you don't know what it is, most likely you probably don't need it. And that, especially in this, because the program's still there. You can still click on the program and open it up. It's just not going to launch upon restart. Okay? All right, cool.
Another question, if you do that, when you shut it off, you'll have to restart it every time for starting that window, right?
That is correct. Yes. So back to, actually, oh, come on. That's better. Okay. So, second is in your shutdown window or your restart window. So when you go to turn off your computer, and again, I'm going to do this. So let's say I'm going to choose to shut down the computer. You can't see that, can you?
No.
All right. Now you can. So, is asked, are you sure you want to do this? If this box is checked right there, it reopens Windows when logging back in. So that means every program that I have open right now will reopen again. A lot of people will think that they've closed out of a program when all they've done is close the window. So those programs will come back, and if you have a number of programs running at the same time, like I do, it uses up a lot of memory, which is a resource drain on the computer for how it's going to run. So by unchecking that box and then doing shutdown or restart, depending on what you've chosen, that will prevent those programs from opening back up again while you're restarting. If you do want, and it'll remember that once you've unchecked it, if you do want those to reopen because you're working on something and you want to try and get back to it as quick as possible, then check that box and it will reopen all the apps that you have. Your startup time will be a little longer than normal, but it also is opening all your apps instead of you manually going to each one and reopening it again. So let me go back to this. There we go. Okay.
Dave,
Yes.
there is a checkbox in one of the shutdown situations that says, should I open all the windows that were open before?
That's what I was just showing, I thought.
Window, not program.
But it belongs to the programs.
Which program are we talking about?
I'm not. When you shut down, there's some window that will have a checkbox. Open all windows that were open.
Okay, right. Now I know what you're saying. Yeah, so I've, I'm sorry?
It doesn't work.
Okay,
I like, for example, I may have 2 or 3 windows open that I would like to see when I restart the machine,
right.
but they don't reopen when I restart the machine.
Typically, that's when you reopen the program. I've seen that in Word.
But it doesn't say that.
No, it doesn't. It does not tell you it's going to reopen all the windows upon restart, but it means it restart of the program. So if you shut down the computer and you have, say, 4 Word documents open, when you go to shut down, it'll ask, do you want to reopen these? And you say yes, and you restart and Word doesn't open. It doesn't reopen those files again. If you restart Word, it should reopen those files, but not always. And I know other programs would do that as well, but Word is probably the best example I can come up with
All right,
for that.
thank you.
Okay,
That works for me in Safari all
does it?
the time.
Okay,
Safari, InDesign, programs that I have on when I shut it down.
okay,
Come back on and the windows open back up.
perfect. Richard?
When you shut down the machine, don't you close out all the windows and quit all the programs, so there's nothing there, and then you shut it down? Is that what you're supposed to do each time?
Yes, that is what you're supposed to do. Not everyone does that. There are a lot of people that will hold the power button down for 10 seconds because they want to get going, and it shuts down the computer, turns it off, and okay, I'm on my way. But all their programs were still open. And so that's the hard way to shut down. The method you described is the correct way to go about doing it, so you don't have those problems in that. Yes, sir?
There are times when you don't know what is on, and using the control and the one next to it, just escape, will come up with a box, gives you all the things that are open.
Right, that'll put you into force quit.
Force quit.
If you choose Command Shift, or Command Tab, I'm sorry, Command Tab will show you all the apps that are currently running on the computer at that time. And if you hold down Command and then lift your finger off Tab or just tap it, it'll move you to the different programs. So that's a quick way to sort of get to the program you want to be in. If, let's say you have 5 apps open, the first one that comes up is Safari. I want to get over to Mail, but Mail is 3 over. Hold down Command, tap Tab until you're in the Mail program, and then let go of both, and it'll bring up the Mail program for you, saving you the time of moving the cursor down to Mail and clicking on it again to pull that back up to the front. So it's a multitasking feature. Okay? Yes?
This is on my desktop computer, so I'm trying to remember. But I have a Pages, sort of a table that I use as a journal.
Okay.
You know, just a day-to-day notes kind of thing. And I have it set up. I must have selected that actual document as one of the long items.
That's possible.
Because whenever, I always shut my computer down at night, I do a backup and an automatic shutdown.
Okay.
And when, and then it's set to open automatically, come on at 7 in the morning.
Right.
So, when I go to my computer, that document is open, and it's open to the last page that I was working on.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how that fits with what was being asked about, you know, for, coming up to an actual part of it, not
Right.
to a document when,
It's quite similar in that. So Brian, when he was describing what was going on,
yeah.
it was not pulling up the page like yours is doing. Sheeta was saying that hers will do that in InDesign and in Safari. So some programs will work with that quite well, other ones not so much.
Not so much. This is with a Pages document.
Okay,
Anyway,
yeah, so that's good. One more?
Yeah, with the Command tab, what does that do?
So Command Tab will allow you to see the different programs that you have open. I did that once before, just a few minutes ago. I don't think I can do it here. No, I can't. So hang on.
And you're doing command and.
I hold down Command, I press Tab, and that shows me everything that's open. And then if I keep pressing this, it'll take me back to where I want to be. Oh, I am sorry. Okay, Command, I hit Tab. That shows me all the programs that are currently open. It shows me the Finder and the 4 programs that I currently have engaged.
What OS is that?
This, 10.3, yeah, this has been around a very long time. It's a keyboard shortcut, and once you start getting into keyboard shortcuts, your life changes all the way around. So I'm gonna go here. So if I let go right now, Ticket Drum would open up. But I want Keynote to open, so I'm gonna go back to that. So I'm gonna leave there, I'm gonna go back to where I really wanna be. There we go, perfect. And that's it. Okay, so next, software updates. A lot of people are like, what's the big deal about software updates? Why are they so important? Software updates are made available to fix security issues, bugs, and other things that will allow your computer to run more efficiently. It's been years since a software update came out on the Mac that really just was horrible. But when you think about it, boy, that just seemed like it happened yesterday. So a lot of people are nervous about running software updates because they're afraid something's not going to go well. If it's not going well, there's probably a pre-existing condition, as they say, that is probably what caused it to not work the way it's supposed to. Folks that don't run updates for fear of the worst are just shortchanging themselves on the experience that they can have with their computer. Next is the problem internet related. So does your computer only run slow when you're online using Mail, iTunes, or Safari? This can also include Spotify, Pandora, Firefox, and Chrome. One suggestion is to check System Preferences, Network, and then click on the gear icon. So once again, I will show you what I mean. That is viewable. Cool. All right, so network, right there. So I've gone to System Preferences, I chose Network. This gear icon right down here, if you go to Set Service Order, and this is particular when you're using Wi-Fi. If you are hardwired with Ethernet, you don't have to bother about it because that will override whatever you have set up. So I have Wi-Fi up at the top of my list. I have seen people come in and Bluetooth is up at the top of their list. Let me do this. So when you see it in this order, when you're going online, it's trying to make the connection first through a Bluetooth device. Well, if you're tethering to your phone, that's your hotspot, and that would be Bluetooth. If you're not doing that, but you're using Wi-Fi, then you would want Wi-Fi up at the top of that list. And I always suggest to people that do not tether with a phone to move Bluetooth down to the bottom of the list. You would then hit OK, and then click Apply. And that would get you the best way for getting online, because a lot of people will be online, they'll click on a link to go to a new web page, and you see that blue bar run across the top, and it gets halfway through and hangs there. And while it only hangs for maybe 3 or 5 seconds, sometimes longer, it certainly seems like hours. And this is one way to help avoid that from happening, because more than once I've helped somebody that has said, everybody else in the house can go online to the same place I'm going and they can get there quick. And mine is just really slow. So this is a tip to help you get a little faster internet connection. And hopefully, if you want to check it when you get home, there's nothing wrong with that. You can, but they're not hurting anything if you're not using them. But if you just have the order set in the right order, move Wi-Fi to the top with Ethernet next, you're good to go. If you do tether to a phone for a hotspot, then you want to have that up near the top of the list as well. Okay, if that's your primary, I know someone that lives in the middle of nowhere, and she has a hotspot because there is no cable, so she's got a hotspot that works on cellular. So that's giving her connection through Bluetooth. That's the only way she can get online. And it's horrible because it's slow as all get out. But that's just where it is right now. We take it for granted that, oh yeah, well, we just call AT&T, we call Comcast or Huawei, and we got internet like that, and it's fast. But for the people that don't live in populated areas, or they're right in between the two, because her joke is, yes, we are on a lot of land, but the neighbor on one side has Comcast, the neighbor on the other side has Charter. We're in the middle, we have nothing. Because we're too far from the other ones, as they say, to run service to us. So her only option is to use a Verizon hotspot, which is just incredibly slow. Needless to say, they don't stream movies because it would be a waste of time. Yes, sir?
Yeah, I live in a condo complex,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I use category 5 connection, but periodically I may want to utilize Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And at the upper right-hand corner of my Mac, there's a little deal where you can turn Wi-Fi on and off.
Yep.
When you turn it on, there's a whole list of Wi-Fi because everybody's using them in the complex.
Yes.
Okay. And of course, they're all, they're locked. Except for one, it says infinity.
Yes.
And if you forget about it, all of a sudden you're trying to get through infinity, and it's like almost impossible. And go, what's going on? And then you realize what the problem is. Is there any way just to get that thing off of there?
Yes.
How?
So, let us go back to the other window. So, you see an Xfinity in there because Comcast puts out a signal, and that's part of their advertising. Hey, if you're a Comcast Xfinity member, you can use Wi-Fi anywhere across the country that it picks up. It requires you to log in with your account information, but you could do that. So someone could sit outside of my house and pick up the Xfinity Wi-Fi as long as they've got a legit thing. And I'm paying for the electricity for them to do that. While it's not much, it's still it's irksome to me.
Well, more importantly, you have to share it for bandwidth.
Right, so if they're sitting out there and they're downloading a movie, my bandwidth takes a dive. They're just checking email, it doesn't affect it that much. But still, I don't need somebody sitting out in front of my house using the internet that I don't want to support.
Probably in your user agreement that you.
I am sure it is. And that
Turn it off.
you can turn it off. There are ways to do it. You need to know what you're doing.
You're about to tell us how to do this?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you how you can make the Xfinity part go away. So it will probably come back, but if it's in your system, if you ever clicked on it like you said you did, you would go to System Preferences, Network, and then under Network, while you're on Wi-Fi, you would choose Advanced. Advanced shows you every network you have ever connected to. And it is all in there. So, the Bayview Inn is a wonderful place to go in Petoskey, Michigan. Visit it. It's wonderful. It's just absolutely a wonderful place. So we were there. I'm going to remove it because I selected it and I hit the minus button. Now I hit OK and I hit apply. And now it will never connect to there again until I go back up there and I join it. If I do not join it, it will not connect again. However, under your Wi-Fi, I see all the Wi-Fi here in our building. So I see ours, I see the other ones in the area that, you know, maybe somebody next door. You can see that. When you're at your house, you see your neighbors. So as long as you don't click on the Xfinity again, then it won't try to go there.
It won't be automatic.
That doesn't solve.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. But you,
That doesn't solve the problem, because that signal is still there. Somebody sitting out on the street can still get it.
that's true. And that's, like you said, that's part of your user agreement when you sign up for it. There are ways that you can go around to remove it. If you're using the Comcast router, there is no way around it, as they say, legally. If you are supplying your
Alright,
own
if you
router.
call customer service and complain, they will turn it off for you.
Right.
You have to call them and complain.
Right, and chances are it's multiple calls. But if it bothers you enough, that's an option.
Are they the only ones doing it right now?
I think so. Brian?
Yeah, so I have Bright House, and they do something similar. If you go to their website and put a little mark for where there are hotspots.
Right.
My neighbor is a hotspot.
Right.
I mean, go figure. I don't understand that. I'm not a hotspot. I don't know if they ask for people to sign up and give them a discount or something.
No, they don't give you a discount.
Well, I don't know, but it's not everybody, because everybody in the neighborhood has Bright House. So
Okay.
there's only
Comes back with
a few selected.
I got one question about that Xfinity I see, Wi-Fi network there. How do I know that's real Xfinity and not somebody just fishing for my credentials?
You don't. That's the other side effect. Brian?
Yeah, so the issue with furnishing from your location free Wi-Fi, that only applies if you have the Comcast modem with the built-in router.
No, it does not. I'm living proof. I have my own router and my own modem. I do not have any Comcast equipment except for the cable box or for the television. That's it. And you come to my house and you will see Xfinity Wi-Fi.
Okay, did they install it?
No, I did it. When they get your MAC address, when you set up your modem with them, that's when they push it through. So, even if you bring your own equipment to the party, they bring an unwanted guest.
They must have Wi-Fi, some of their equipment there in something, because that doesn't happen.
It's happening at my house.
You sure it's not
There's
enabled?
something, they have some equipment of theirs there, they must have.
The only equipment that is theirs is the boxes for the television sets. That's
The
it.
modem?
The modem
Where
is
do you get the modem from?
Amazon?
What model is it? Does it have Wi-Fi in it?
No, separate. It's a surfboard. But they ask for the MAC address on the modem.
Well, yeah, they always do.
Right.
They have to do that local
Right.
firmware.
But I believe that's why it shows up, because
There's no way they'd be turning on Xfinity on your Wi-Fi without you letting them. They can't do that.
okay,
That came up a while back.
yeah. So I'll be on the phone with them. I'll just leave it on speaker.
Are you sure it's coming out of your house?
Yes, because I checked with my neighbors, and the people around me are using AT&T. 4 houses around me.
It doesn't mean somebody hasn't set up a phony one,
That's possible,
because there's no way they can do it without.
but I didn't see the Xfinity Wi-Fi until I set up my modem at my house. That's when it popped up.
Turn your modem
Turn yours
off.
off to see if it goes away.
I did. It's still there.
If
So,
you turn your Wi-Fi off and it's still there, then it's not yours.
no, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the modem. I turned the modem off and on. It was there. I set up a new time capsule with it. It's still there.
Okay, is it there if you turn off
Turn off Wi-Fi in your house.
Okay.
router?
I'll do that next.
Because it can't be there otherwise. It was advertised months ago.
Right.
Or even years ago, that Comcast was gonna be giving away Wi-Fi, which as long as you're a paid subscriber, you could get any place in the country.
Sure.
But one, it can be turned off, and two, it has to be from their router modem combo unit.
Okay.
There's no other way.
Okay, well,
And turn off, like Jim says, turn off your cable box. Put the power off of that. How
okay,
do you know they don't go Wi-Fi?
I don't.
Because don't they tout that you can have your TV and your cable box well away from everything without any wires?
That's yours.
No, that's UVerse.
Oh, okay. But it'd
Yeah.
be very easy for them to put Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I have two types of boxes. Two televisions have the really low-end box that barely does anything, and then I have the HD box in the back room. Maybe it's the HD
We're
box.
running that one.
Yeah, all right, well, we'll check that out.
It's gotta be on their equipment. They cannot
Okay.
do it on your equipment.
There's no way to get a 6121 or 41 or 93 or 83 or any of those, or any one of the Explorer, airport extremes to do that. There's just no way. It's not programmatic.
Okay. I will give that a shot. I appreciate the advice. It'll be helpful. Okay. Yes,
It's a map of White House and all that, just us, we're not radius around here,
okay,
and all their hotspots.
right,
Most of them are personal ones.
gotcha. Okay. Other things that can affect your internet could be the age of your router or the age of the modem. That definitely can play into it. Another thing would be also the firmware on the modem or the router. So if you're not sure you're up to date, it'd be a good thing to do. If you're using an Apple product, you can use Airport Utility to check your Express, Extreme, or Time Capsule to see if you're up to date on the firmware. If not, run the firmware updates. I think a lot of people would probably agree that if you have a Wi-Fi router that's more than 5 years old, you should probably seriously consider upgrading to a newer one. Due to the fact that the technology that that older one is using probably isn't supporting your new iPad or your new computer as well as it could. So just something to think about. Yes, sir.
I had AT&T come out and upgrade my service, and they messed up all my telephones. They wanted to charge me to fix each individual telephone. Then my computer wouldn't work. One of my computers wouldn't work.
Okay.
I couldn't get my internet. So they kept stuck a little USB thing into my G5 on my older computer. And then you could get it. My Intermax wireless extender wouldn't work. It wasn't compatible with the new AT&T system.
Right.
So he stuck that little thing in there. Now when I turn that computer off, I have to jump through hoops to try to get it back up again. So I went and got an iMac, and my other computer just sits over there on the fool with it anymore.
Okay.
And all that software on there I want to use. So I found out that I have to get back to Edimark because apparently they made a newer router that will allow me to access through the new AT&T system.
Okay.
Because I was having a hard time, you talk about speeding it up, and I couldn't do anything.
Right. Yeah, so the older the hardware, usually it's going to run a little on the slower side. Yes.
Okay, let's talk hardware for a second. I have right up in West.
Okay.
They take care of everything as far as communications in the house.
Okay.
They have Wi-Fi, they have their own central system. Is that central system considered a firewall?
No.
So you have to, between them and my computer, I need to have if I want a hardware firewall, I have to get one.
No. If you want a firewall, you can go into System Preferences, and under Security, you can go to Firewall and turn it on.
Software, right?
Software. It's built into the operating system. So you can use that if you want. That's one way of an extra layer of protection. However, by having the firewall on, and depending on what settings you choose, you could be blocking all incoming traffic or you can set it up to, you know, for places I go to, it's okay. But it'll block, you know, other things. There's a lot that can be talked about on that topic for whether you need a firewall or whether you want to use a firewall. And if you have more questions about it, I would suggest that on our IBBS, throw a post up there and we can start a conversation. Get you a lot of answers on that. Okay. And then next, do you know the difference between software updates and software upgrades? There are a lot of people that don't know the difference between these. I'll try and make this as brief as possible, or if we need to go a little more in depth, we can do that. Updates are patches for the OS that you are currently running. Older OSs don't always get the tweaks to maximize performance. Similar to what Ken was saying about being on 10.7, he has a new phone, he needs a new version of iTunes. New version of iTunes doesn't work in 10.7. It doesn't work in 10.8. It should work in 10.9 and higher. So that's where an upgrade comes into play. And the upgrades are the way to go for the new features and the benefits of running a newer operating system. I've had a lot of people come in the store similar to Ken's situation. I've got this new phone. I'm on 10.8 and it won't recognize it. Okay, you need to come up to something more current that will support it. The next question is always, what software are you running? So we make sure that we're not putting an operating system on here that's going to prevent you from using what you have. Ken found out the hard way by jumping up to 10.12, a lot of his programs didn't work anymore. So that's always part of when you do an upgrade, what to pay attention to. I've also had a lot of people come in and say, my iCloud is not syncing anymore with my phone and my iPad and my computer. The phone and the iPad work just fine, but the computer won't sync. And we find that they're on 10.9. 10.9 with iCloud and the new software on the phones and the iPads, not compatible. Things aren't syncing, so your calendars, events aren't showing up, other things like that just aren't working. So you have to upgrade. I believe iCloud wants you to be on 10.11 at the bare bones. They'd prefer you were on 10.12 because it's easier for them to help you if you do need to call AppleCare. So upgrades are very important for a number of different topics, and I think you'd be well served by making sure that you stay on top of stuff. If your software is not going to support it, then you should just realize that, okay, I'm not going to get the maximum efficiency out of my computer because this is where I'm at, because you have something that's holding you back. Okay, these are some of the more advanced steps for speeding up your Mac. How much RAM or memory is your system using? If you go to About This Mac, and that window will pop up, and it will show you how much RAM you have in your machine. Way back when 10.6 or Snow Leopard was out, it used about 500 megabytes of RAM. So somebody that had 1 gig of RAM in their computer, they were in pretty good shape to have the machine up and running, and then they had about a half a gig of RAM left to open other programs. And some programs are more memory intensive than others, such as iPhoto or Photos, video programs, and unfortunately Word. Word is a memory resource hog, so if you're done using it, quit out of it, so you can free up that memory. 10.7 through 10.9 required a minimum of 2 gigs of RAM because it was using a gig by itself just to have the computer up and running. 10.12 or 10.10 through 10.12 state that a minimum of 2 gigs of memory is required, but you're actually using anywhere between 1.25 gigs of RAM and 1 3/4 gigs of RAM. So you've almost used up almost all your memory if you're only on 2 gigs of RAM. My suggestion, if you're running 1010 or 1012 to 1012, is to have a minimum of 4 gigs of RAM. If your machine can be upgraded to go with more memory, it is never a bad thing. If you have a machine such as a MacBook Air or the new MacBook Pro Retinas, where the memory is part of the logic board, you cannot upgrade your memory, but when you do purchase your next machine, consider spending the extra money for more memory on that one. It's nice to have a bigger hard drive, but honestly, you're better off having more memory than you are a bigger hard drive, because your system will run more efficiently. You can also open Activity Monitor, which is in your Utilities folder, and it will show you what programs are running, and it'll show you, if you choose memory, how much RAM is being used by that program. So if you have something that's just running wild, you can force quit the process to get back to where you need to be, because obviously there is something going on with that piece of software. But it's a good tool to see where you're at. Next up, how much open space is on your hard drive / solid state drive? If you see the message, startup disk is full alert, you have a problem. It is time for spring cleaning. You need to clear up room on your hard drive. Most suggestions for open space on a hard drive is anywhere from 5 to 10% of free space. The more open space, the better. My personal advice would be keep at least 20% open. If you have 20% hard drive space open, you will definitely have that room to breathe and have the machine run, hopefully at peak performance at that point in time.
That opens the question of whether defragging a drive is useful for, you know what I'm talking about.
So defragging is a Windows-based utility.
In other words, my concept of it is that files that might be sort of in disjointed portions of memory are brought together. And
Sure.
therefore, when they open, it's a faster, more efficient process.
Okay.
I don't understand the technicality.
Okay, no, that's good.
I have heard people say that defragging their drive did affect the efficiency, performance.
Sure. And I know a lot of people that use PCs that defrag all the time, because a lot of software on the PC side it's a shotgun approach. You put that file in and it sort of scatters it all over.
Well, I guess part of my question is that still valid, or has Apple changed their technology to sort of make that not so helpful anymore? In other words, is the basic technology more efficient?
I believe the operating system does not require to defrag, because when you put a file in someplace, it puts it all together rather than bits and pieces scattered about. And it's been that way since OS X came out. I personally have not defragged a Mac ever.
You can still get fragmentation.
Sure you could.
It can still happen, but depending on your hard drive. First off, if you have an SSD, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Right.
Second, if you have a 7200 RPM drive, probably don't need to worry about it quite so much, because, as you said, the operating system does its best to handle that for you. If you've got a 5400 RPM drive and an older Mac, you might run into problems and you might need to defrag.
Sure.
But it's not something I would worry about very often. The only time you're going to really have to worry about it is if you're adding a lot of files and deleting a lot of files and adding files and deleting files all at the same time, where the operating system is forced to try and wedge things into smaller areas. And that just doesn't happen that much anymore.
I guess I was just thinking, if you have a drive that is, 3, 4, 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
still running fine, but, just what he's talking about, you know, you delete files and then you make new ones and it starts, I just can sort of picture things getting a little spotty. but I
Sure,
could be wrong.
yeah. But I think Jack was mention that if you're putting a bunch of files on your computer and at the same time deleting a bunch of files on your computer, it will bog it down and it will scatter some of the stuff. If you're not doing that, if you're just like, let me just put these 10 files on and then later in the day, let me delete these 10 files, I don't think that's a necessity for you. And the defrag is not, I don't see an advantage
Okay,
for doing it that way.
that, years ago, that used to be one of the efficiency
You're correct.
activities, and it still is available in some of the maintenance software, but I look at it and I think, well, is that really valuable anymore? So,
Personally, I'll say no.
yeah.
If you were running OS 9 or older software, then yeah, okay, I can see that. But since OS 10 is the way it was designed,
I'm running 10.8 and 10.9.
okay, so then you should be just fine. Yeah. Yes?
Back in the old system, 8 and 9, Norton Utilities used to have that little thing where the guy showed you, he was hand moving back in and out. You could see the graph where all your stuff was being put back where it belonged. It was a comfort zone.
Right, definitely a comfort zone because it gave people peace of mind. Oh, everything's being organized.
It's
But-
entertaining to watch it.
There was that too. Yeah, okay. Next, what is taking up that space and where is it? A lot of people, they go to About This Mac, they go under storage, and they see a big yellow area called Other. And they're wondering, what is Other? Other is a lot of things. For the most part, I personally like to check iTunes, and let me go there to show you what I mean. In iTunes, when you connect a phone or an iPad or an iPod to it, gotcha. There we go. So in iTunes, come to Preferences, and over here under Devices, where you see the little iPhone, it will show you a list of all your backups. On this computer, I do not back my phone to. I back my phone to a different computer and I use iCloud. But I will see a list of backups in this area here, and off to the side over here, it will show you the dates and the time that the backup was made. So let's say you have a 16 gig phone and your backups are 8 gigs. If you have 3 backups in here, you've just taken up 24 gigs of space. If one of the backups is from 2011, 2013, and 2015, I'm pretty sure you can delete the backups from 11 and 13. Usually it's an older phone that you no longer have, and you've probably moved that data to your new phone already. So by getting rid of it that way, it's a big advantage to you to free up space on the computer. If you go into your user account, the keyboard shortcut, Command-I, when you click on a folder, will also tell you how much data is inside of that folder. So you could just do that to all the different folders and do the math and see where things are being taken up. Your backups are through Mobile Sync. Those backups live in your user library. Don't go in there and dig for them. If you need to delete your backups out of iTunes, do it through iTunes. Because if you go in there, it doesn't tell you what that backup is. It's just a bunch of letters and numbers, and there's no date, and there's no size. So if you do it through iTunes, at least you can know that, okay, I'm getting rid of backups from 4 years ago and 3 years ago. and you're usually safe and sound that way. Another thing that I suggest is if you have a time machine backup or another type of backup, don't worry about deleting that backup, because if you do realize you need that, you can restore that back from your time machine backup. So that's something you can do. Another thing that always surprises me is the people that are using iPhoto and they have no hard drive space open on their computer. And we go to iPhoto and we go to iPhoto trash, and there is 3,500 pictures or more sitting in the trash because they said, well, I deleted this years ago. Well, right, but iPhoto trash is not the same as the trash can down in the dock. So if you delete it in iPhoto, you've put it in that trash can, and it's still there. So when you're in iPhoto, you can go up and say empty iPhoto trash, and boy, it's amazing how people suddenly have 16 gigs of space back in their computer again because they dumped a bunch of files that they thought they threw away 4 years ago. Yes?
I have a friend who is deep into grandchildren photos.
Sure.
And, of course, vacations and stuff. And we get duplications. The machine keeps giving us duplications upon duplications.
Right?
There's software to get rid of it.
Yes, there is.
It's time-consuming.
Not as time-consuming as sitting there and picking them one by one.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, how do we stop that as far as duplications? Because I want to just say, oh, we'll give you another one of these.
Okay, here's my easy advice. When you import pictures into the computer and they're done importing and it says you want to delete them off your phone, say yes. Because if you say no, when you plug the phone back in, it will sometimes, not always, but it will sometimes re-import everything you've already imported.
Is that true with, like, for instance, holiday pictures in the back? I've got a little thing off of my.
So the SD card, yeah.
SD card,
Yeah.
I leave it in there, and is it every time I'm turning it back on, it's going and replacing those again into?
It could be, yes.
Oh my God.
So that's how you end up with 2, 3, 7, 10 times of the same picture. While the child is very cute, I'm sure, 10 of that child is not as enjoyable.
I just realized, my friend and myself, both have external hard drives with all these pictures archived in them.
Okay.
Every time we turn the system on, does that hard drive say, oh, here's some pictures, make dupes?
No. No. Luckily, it does not do that. So, so clearing up hard drive space that you don't need is definitely a benefit. One more.
Lightroom does backups, and those backup libraries are very large. I mean, backup, every time you back up, you're creating a file, and they're rather large.
Sure.
So I know where your backups are.
Exactly.
Generally, I've gone back to 5-6 years.
Hopefully not, but yeah. Okay. All right. File vault. Yay or nay? Okay. So file vault has good points and it has bad points. From a security standpoint, it encrypts your data to prevent somebody from walking up, plugging in a flash drive to your computer and booting up from that OS and copying your files over. Okay, that sounds pretty good. And if you need to protect your data, it's a wonderful thing to do. However, File Vault requires you to create a password. And we all know about passwords. We hate them. Exactly, or password. So you don't want to treat it lightly. If you are going to use File Vault, make sure you know what your password is. File Vault does not want to let you use the same password you use to unlock your computer. It wants you to come up with something more creative. And that's a safety feature. So if you are going to use it, be creative, write it down in about 7 or 8 different spots. so you know where it is. Don't tape it to the bottom of the computer. Don't tape it under the desk. If you really need to, get a password program, a password manager like 1Password or some other ones that are out there, and put it in there.
Make sure it's one that works on your phone, because
Yes.
you won't be able to boot your computer and use your password manager if you don't know the password.
Exactly. So I have more than once had people come in and there was a software corruption and we could not get to their data because File Vault is installed. And our only option is you can take this to somebody that might be able to do data recovery for you. It's going to cost a lot of money. Or I erase your computer right now and get you back up and running in about 20 minutes. So money usually wins, and we're erasing their computer and they're crying because all their wedding pictures, baby pictures, everything else that they did not back up are gone. So the other side of the coin, and this is where I come from, File Vault is always encrypting your data, which means it slows down your computer because it's running. So you are the one and only person that should make the decision on whether you use File Vault or not. Now that you have this information, the decision and the blame is squarely on your shoulders.
It's not just slower, it will also use up more disk.
Yes.
The data is encrypted.
So it's using up disk space, it's chewing through your battery faster if you're on a portable. So your battery life will definitely take a significant hit. Next, online backup services. We have had backup meetings about how to do backups. Backups are wonderful. They're important. They're necessary. And if you're not doing it, shame on you. Similar to File Vault, some backup services will slow down your computer when they are running. Unlike File Vault, they don't always run all the time. So do your research, choose the online backup service if you want to, that's best for you. There are plenty of options available out there, so you just decide what you want to do. And this one is self-explanatory. What does it mean Time Machine backup failed? My stuff's safe, right?
Maybe.
Not necessarily. If the Time Machine backup failed, that means that the most recent backup you've done is not completed. And it's not there, it's not safe. You need to get it to complete the backup to be safe. So keep that in mind. Whatever backup solution you want to use, fantastic. Use it and then double check that it actually was successful. And there's lots of easy ways. Time Machine's super easy. You just click on the Time Machine icon in the menu bar and it tells you the last backup date. That's great. If it doesn't give you a date, there's a problem. If you use Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper, that's a more advanced way to do it. That too will tell you when your last backup is. You can look it up. If you use an online service, that too will let you know. Yes, sir.
I have a Time Machine question. I had asked it on the bulletin board and somebody gave me an answer, but I'd like to ask it again here.
Okay.
I was always under the impression that Time Machine backed up every hour. Over the last, I don't know how many months, I've noticed that I can go hours and hours and hours without a backup. If my computer was just sitting there like overnight, or I haven't done anything on it. Does it back up every hour, or does it just back up when there's something to back up?
If there is enough new information to be backed up, it will do it on an hourly basis. So if you're getting tons of emails coming in, and it hits that threshold, it will make a backup. If you're importing pictures, it'll make a backup. If you're not doing that and you're just surfing the web on your computer,
Overnight, I leave it on overnight.
yeah, it won't make a backup if there's not enough new information coming in. Whether you put it in or whether it's just emails coming in, something like that. If you download a movie through iTunes, Time Machine should pick up and go, okay, hey, it's here, let's make that backup. It typically will look and see if there's enough, And if there's not, it'll check again a little later, like in another hour. If there's not enough, it'll wait and it'll hold off till like the end of the day.
Dave?
Yes,
Technical tidbit.
yes,
It's not a launch speed process.
Right.
So there is no guarantee that you're gonna get a precise time in
Right.
every case. Because it doesn't use launch speed.
Right.
It uses, I don't know, Grand Central Dispatch
Yeah.
or something like that.
So if you see one backup, say at 12:05, the next backup might be at 1:03 or 1:15. So it's an approximate, but
There's one at 12:05, and then I don't see another one till 7 o'clock in the morning.
right, that'll happen. If it doesn't think there's enough information to do another backup, it won't. Yes,
That's not what I've seen lately, because I saw his question, and I've been keeping an eye on mine, because
right,
I'm having a little time sheet problem there. It will go through the motions every hour, and it will create a new folder, even though there may be nothing to update other than an email here or there. So it is doing it on mine.
on yours.
On mine, and I've tried it on my old 2009 iMac that's running 2 systems back, my iMac, or my MacBook Air, and on my current.
Okay.
And it's doing it on all of them, even
What are
when
you
it's
backing up
asleep.
to the local disk?
The local disk, no, local disk.
What are you backing up to, a local disk or a network disk?
Just a hard drive, local disk.
So the time capsule itself, or do you have a drive plugged into the time capsule?
It's a drive, there's no time capsule, it's just a drive.
It's an external hard drive.
Okay, plugged into your Airport Extreme.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's not creating a folder, it just might do it at 12 midnight, and then again, it won't do it until 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning.
okay. Is it just one machine that you're doing backups to, or multiple?
One.
Just one?
I've seen it do both of my systems at home. I got
Yeah,
several systems at home, some of them, if there's nothing going on, I don't see backup for hours, I'll see,
Yeah.
it says it did a backup at 1:05, and I'm looking, it's like, well, it's 6 o'clock, when you do a backup, and then, 6:30, and I said, well, okay, I'll do a backup. And others I've got doing it all the time.
okay.
When I was troubleshooting mine, I had 2 time machine disks running, in tandem. And it would, if you looked at the folders, one would say, 105, the other would say 215, the other would say 320, whatever. And they would alternate every hour.
Okay. I'm not sure. Hang on, Lou. Yes, sir.
Well, the time machine backup icon will allow you to do a backup now, whatever you want.
Right. And that's an option, but the whole point behind having, say, that setup is it just does it for you. So
I just do that, like, if I'm gonna shut down and do super duper, I'll make sure I
Okay.
have a time machine that is also current at that point.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Lou?
Using a C 2 terabyte mirror, so there's 2 1 terabyte hard drives, each getting the same thing.
Okay.
And something happens to that. Before I quit doing something, I'm usually going to leave the machine on, iMac on, but at the very end, when we shut it off, direct it to do a backup.
Okay, which is what he's doing as well, and that's a good idea, just for peace of mind.
Yeah, but I bought it from the C, and it was formatted for Mac,
Okay.
but it has 2 1 terabytes that are identical in case something happens mechanically.
Okay. Good.
Two-part question on a time machine. If you have your machine asleep, will it still do the backups?
It should look to see if there's enough new information coming in. If your machine's asleep and say the mail program's open and you get, 30 new emails, that might be enough to trigger it to do a backup. It might not.
Okay, and the second part is, if you don't use your machine for 2 or 3 days,
Sure.
will it still do the backup?
Is the machine still on?
If it's asleep, yeah.
If it's just asleep but you haven't touched it, it should be looking to see if there's anything to back up. So,
Important. Does it back up everything on there, or does it just
New stuff. That's the whole point behind Time Machine. Otherwise, it would just chew through a hard drive in about 2 days. So, that's that. Okay.
Slow Wi-Fi at home. Guess I'm studying at the gym tonight.
That is rough. You know, iPad Pro has LTE like your phone, so you can get internet pretty much anywhere. Anywhere.
My wife said, "What is going on?" when I copied that file. And then I showed it to her and she laughed. So, life is good. Okay. At this point in time, we're at 436. I've got the whole iOS side to go through. So I'm going to give people an option here. And I'm going to ask for a show of hands. Next month's meeting is the person that's going to present does not believe that he's going to have a full meeting's worth of information. So I can finish this up on next month's meeting, or I can try and cram through it in the next 10 minutes. Okay, so let me finish up next month. I do appreciate that thought because it's helpful, because it's really good information.
Were you going to talk about, for example, when you asked where are things, or what's on my hard drive, and where is it, how big is it? Were you thinking at all of talking about third-party things like Daisy Disk?
I was not thinking of doing that,
Okay.
but that is a good idea.
And the other thing is, you also didn't talk about hardware, and I had the joy of watching our members see her mid-2011 laptop boot with a new Micron Crucial SSD for the first time. And the look on her face, I wished I had a camera. It was just, she was amazing.
It is amazing what an SSD will do to an older machine. It's just, it's a wonderful thing.
The question is, were you thinking at all talking about hardware?
Not today, but I would definitely encourage anyone, if you are running an older machine and you can put a solid state drive in that machine, it changes your life. It truly does. As well as increasing memory in the computer as well. Those are the two big ticket items I recommend for anybody with an older machine.
Do they get dual hard drives in machines?
There is OWC, Other World Computing, actually has a kit that will allow you to put a solid state drive in your computer and then remove your optical drive, and they give you a bracket that you can mount your old hard drive in over there. I helped a gentleman last night that was putting his 750 drive over into there and putting a 500 gig solid state drive in the main hard drive spot. So that way, on his desktop, you see two drives. You see the main drive, and then you see his other drive, which is where all his storage is. And he said as soon as he could afford to buy another solid state drive, he was going to swap the standard drive out with that, so he could really have full capability of all the speed that the solid state drive offers.
Any special cooling problem?
No, because solid state drives have no moving parts.
They're actually cooler.
Way cooler. It also makes your battery last longer because you're not spinning up a drive. So let me get to here. And then, okay, so then I will pick up where I left off next month. And I encourage everyone to come back for it because it's going to be related to your phones and your iPads. And it's got a lot of great information on how to speed up, in particular, maybe an older iPad or an older iPhone. And it'll also help you tweak your current generation as well. So,
An iMac question?
yes,
I've got an iMac with a Fusion drive.
yes.
And I understand that Apple's coming out with a new file system. Last I heard, that new file system will not work on a Fusion drive. Is that going to cause me a problem?
Potentially. I don't have an answer for you. I wish I did, because the new operating system, they haven't announced it or released it yet. So I don't have any information to share. I would hope it wouldn't, because there are a number of people, myself included, that have an iMac at home with the Fusion drive in it. And I enjoy the speed the solid state gives me, plus the storage of a traditional drive. And it would be very disappointing if Apple came out with a new OS that won't take advantage of that.
I can't believe Apple would throw all those customers down the tube.
I would agree with you on that, but then again, what we're at now is we're in rumor stage. So we have to give it just a little bit of time. Yes?
Yeah, with the SSD drive on the older machine, what would you ballpark the increased speed at?
Your older machine or someone else's older machine?
Let's use my G4.
Night and day.
50%?
Easy. Yeah, you will be stunned. Truly stunned. Sheeta put in a solid state drive in her 2010 17-inch MacBook Pro.
Night and day. It was like getting a new computer.
It's orders of magnitude faster.
Yeah. You will not be disappointed at all. Yes, sir.
Your PowerPoint presentation will be available on the bulletin board?
My keynote presentation will be available on our YouTube channel, and we'll have it up there. And so, yeah, it'll be available to see, and you'll be able to hear this, and hopefully the questions that were asked and answered as well. So, yeah, it'll be available.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please go back to iTunes and go back to devices where the backup is?
Sure. So, iTunes.
Can't see.
Oh, I can. Okay, iTunes, come down to preferences, and then over here where the phone is, devices. Boom.
Okay.
This is where your backups live
Okay.
when you sync to the computer.
Great. Now, years ago, you used to be able to create multiple backups of the same device. Now they overwrite one another.
They're supposed to.
They do. Mine overwrite each other. Is there a way to force it not to overwrite and make a brand new one?
Not that I am aware of. Because what I've seen is people that they'll sync it in and it makes another backup, which is the opposite of what they want, instead of overwriting.
Well, I turned off the
Autosync?
Autosync, because autosync screwed me one day. I didn't realize it was just doing that, so autosync will never be turned on
Okay.
in any of my devices. But I need to create a new backup.
Okay.
Just in case. So, is there a way to do that?
Let's find out. So, I'm in iTunes. Autosync is turned off. The button that says backup now. Yep. So it's going to try and sync. No, for sake of speed, I'm going to choose no. Now, if you want to back up your phone because you have health data from your watch that syncs to the phone, you need to encrypt your backups in iTunes. Otherwise, it does not bring over your health data. So just keep that in mind if that's something that's important to you.
On that point, I got a new iPhone 7 the other day.
Okay.
And the Apple Store guy and I didn't even think about don't you have to turn off, like Find My Phone, and then it'll supposedly sync between the watch and the phone? Or what do you have to turn off? And because there's data that I lost completely because there was something that we didn't turn off that told the phone and the watch to sync before we turned the phone off.
You have to delete the watch from the old phone. You have to tell it, I don't want to be connected anymore. And
Oh,
then
that's
one
right, you
last
have to
backup.
unpair it.
Right.
But we didn't unpair it.
Right, if you don't unpair it before you go to pair to a new phone,
Yeah, I lost my data
Right.
on my phone.
correct.
Okay, I mean on my watch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
So you can't force a new, you can't force
I'm trying to see if we can force a new one by just choosing backup now. And if that works, fantastic.
It just overwrites. You used to be able to name them and create a new one, now you can't.
I think that was probably a couple versions of iTunes ago when they took that away.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's where it gets that. One last question.
Okay,
My iPad Pro, compared to battery life of my iPad Pro compared to my iPad Air 1, the iPad Pro burns through battery life in half of the time, less than half of the time of the iPad Air 1.
okay.
Is that a problem with my device or?
I would say it's a problem.
Okay.
If it should be lasting much longer than your Air.
My Air will last 10, 12 hours a day.
Yep,
The iPad Pro, if I get a good 4 or 5 out of it.
okay. So then, do me a favor. If your device is having poor battery life, before you run to the store saying, I need a new battery in this, go into settings, go to battery, and it should show you what app is using up the most battery power and see where you're at. For the most part, most apps should only be using in the single digits or the low teens of a percentage. Anything that's over 20% could be a runaway app that could be chewing through your battery. And since I doubt you are a Snapchat person, I can't see that chewing through it, because usually the social media apps are the biggest offenders for chewing through data. So I would recommend look at there first. If you are seeing an app that's using a whole bunch of data or battery life, consider restoring the iPad through iTunes and starting and then moving the information back on fresh that way, because there's a software issue. If everything is below 20%, then it is possible that the battery is not working like it's supposed to.
Are those screen sizes the same for those two devices?
Well, it depends on which one you purchase. You have both the 9.7s, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So like the 12.9 iPad, I'll be honest with you, it's mostly battery. This thing is just like all battery inside. So this lasts forever. I charge it maybe once a week, which is really amazing. Unless I'm watching a movie, then I have to charge it a little more often. Brian?
Wouldn't it be the only way you can compare the two, would be running exactly the same software at the same time in order to be able to tell that the Air runs so much longer than the Pro?
I'm usually doing the same thing with both of them. I have to put my Pro back on the charger and then go get the Air in order to like continue doing what I'm doing. The Air will last until the next day.
Are they running exactly the same?
Oh, pretty much, yes.
Okay. So if you don't see anything obvious as a runaway app on it, you can call AppleCare and they can run a battery test and tell you what your percentage is on that. Or you can stop in an Apple store and through the Genius Bar, they can also run the same diagnostics right there in front of you and test it and see where you're at with the health of your battery. And they can also see if there's maybe a program that's not running at full capacity. So